Bienvenidos to Humans in Accounting, the podcast where we pause the AI buzz for a minute and focus on the real humans behind the numbers. We chat with founders and leaders to hear their journey, what drives them, and the important things in life. Because behind every balance sheet, there's a story worth telling. Humans in Accounting is brought to you by South Offices. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Humans in Accounting, where leaders share their story behind the spreadsheets. As you should know by now, I'm your host. I'm Alex Roman, and this podcast is brought to you by South Offices, connecting accounting talent across borders. Today's guest, I'm so happy just to have you. I'm having Kate Johnson, owner at Heritage Business Services LLC, and also the brains behind Bookkeeping Side Hustle community. Kate, I'm so happy you're here in Humans in Accounting. Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me and for doing these shows.
This is great. I'll tell the audience and people in the future watching this and all our platforms. I met you, Kate, a few months ago now in Scaling New Heights. And this is the first time I've ever done this in my entire life, where basically I introduced myself to someone who I saw a post on LinkedIn, and we were in the elevator.
Yeah.
And I saw you and I say, hey, I know you, and I don't know, we had that small intro, and well, now you are here a few months later and humans in accounting.
Yeah, it's important for us to get out from behind our desks, right? So connections are made. We wouldn't have met probably otherwise, and I have this unique advantage or curse where I stand out because of my hair, I think. It's okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was your hair. I'm pretty sure that I don't know. I remember it was a post that you made specifically on. You were in the plane and you said something that I don't know caught my attention, and I saw maybe you put like a hashtag or something of Scaling New Heights, and then I saw you and I just went directly, hey, I know you. I don't know if we met each other, and well. Now, a few months later, we are talking here in Humans in Accounting. As you know, this is the only podcast of the entire world where we talk. Everyone now is talking about AI, and I would like this podcast just to be a little bit more from the human part, which is something that we can all relate. So yeah, I'd like just to ask you first, if you can tell us a little bit about your background. I'm intrigued how you started your career. It went this path. If you can tell me a little bit about your background, and then we do a double click on your business and also the community you created. That's really impressive, and I have so many questions I want to ask you.
Sure, fantastic. Well, I think the most interesting part of my background is that I'm a military spouse, a military wife. So I went to college. I majored in economics, not in the business school. It was in the liberal arts school, but I think maybe that kind of planted my, started to plant some seeds where I could be inclined towards accounting, but did not start in accounting. Then I was an AmeriCorps volunteer for 2 years. Then I went to business school, but I'm out of business school. So I have had formal accounting classes. You got to do those, but right. Business school is for big companies, right? I was reading 10Ks from, the SEC, not worrying about mom and pop American small businesses, right? And I went to work for ExxonMobil out of that. That was one of the companies that recruited at our business school, and it was great. But I had this problem that I married this fighter pilot, and it was not really compatible. It was for a 6-month period, I was commuting between Houston, the ExxonMobil offices in Houston, and Lemoore, California, where the West Coast fighter fleet is, and we were paying for it ourselves. And 2010, I think it was, it wasn't really a work from home type of world. I had tried to make it work as long as I could, but the writing was on the wall. So I got a job kind of locally in Fresno, California, was the nearest big city. But I had to quit that job after 7 months because we were not expecting to be moved. We thought we would at least be there for 3 years. And it was absolutely devastating that I had quit 2 jobs in less than a year. And right. I was real bitter about it. I was also pregnant, and I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but just the way that all the recipe ingredients kind of fell together. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to work. We got to Virginia, and I didn't even begin a job search because I knew I would be having a baby soon. I think the Lord just kind of closed that door for, like, he's like, surprise, I want you to be a stay-at-home mom and not going back after like a maternity leave. Because that door was sort of closed, even though I didn't want it to be, for about, I think it was like 6 years that I made like $0. So just thinking about it in terms of the income, no money. Obviously, stay-at-home moms are amazing. Like, we have the hardest job, but actual income was nothing. But then we have 3 kids, and the youngest one, we had them really close together, but that youngest one was going to be going to preschool 2 days a week. And so for the first time in 6 years, I was not going to have a tiny human around me every hour of the day. And I wanted to be a good steward of that time. I wanted to, like, I knew that child-free time was a blessing, and I didn't want to just like sit around and watch Law and Order episodes and like waste that time. So it was at that point I was like, what can I do? Thought of a few different things, but I ended up landing on this. I think it was kind of in vogue, like, become a bookkeeper. And so I had never opened a QuickBooks file, anything like that, ever. I'd never opened a QuickBooks ever. But I relearned accounting, made myself study those fundamentals. I learned the bookkeeping software for the first time because I had never learned that. And then I got a client. And I got a paper check for $800 for like cleaning up a QuickBooks file. And it was like so small, but yet so big. It changed. Like, we still have that check. Like, I'm so glad it was a paper check because I actually get to keep it, like, and it was like a life-changing moment for my family. And with a military spouse, like, there's seasons that are harder than others, and being a single parent, but just over the years, I think that was like 2017, just slowly grew. Now my kids are all in school all day. I still I wouldn't say I work full-time hours, but I have a lot more time I can work, and the business has grown in that way. So that's sort of the origin story. And so any military spouse that's out there who, like, I'm a kind of a reluctant entrepreneur. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur, but it's really worked for us and for the lack of control we have of where we live. So that's been a blessing.
Okay, Kate, and sorry, I want to do a follow-up question on that, because you said you landed on doing this bookkeeping. I mean, was there something specifically that, I don't know, you saw this, someone who, you have a sister who is a bookkeeper, or you saw this ad, or suddenly a random client? I don't know. I'm just figuring out like how you landed bookkeeping and not, I don't know, doing something else, or it was just like.
Yeah, no, I paid for a course. I think there's like a gajillion courses now, but the course at the time was kind of like one of the only ones. It was called Bookkeeper Launch. It's called Bookkeeper Business Launch at that time. And I'll forever be grateful for that. It changed my life. It had a military discount, so that was appealing. And I'll share a particular story that sometimes it's kind of humbling. I was nervous that I was going to waste my family's money by, like, in my mind, I'm like, I bet people pay for courses and don't do anything all the time. I feel like that's pretty common. And I was like, I'm not going to be that person, because we had a single income on a military. Like, you don't go in the military to be rich, right? Like, so I was in charge of like the home budget, and it was tight. So I actually made myself earn the money for that course. And I drove for Lyft. And I have an MBA from like a really famous school. So it kind of doesn't go together, but the point of it wasn't about like, is this below me or not? It was, for about a month, my husband did bedtime for the babies. And I did it like in the evenings for like 2 hours. And it was what I needed mentally to make myself know that I was serious, and make my husband know that I was serious. And that, because if I was like, man, this is for the birds, I don't want to do this, then I knew that the business was going to be way harder than driving for Lyft, right? Like anyone with you don't have to have a brain to drive for Lyft.
Right. And
so I was like, if I can't have the discipline to do this, then I should not invest. I should just stay a stay-at-home mom, or work for someone else who's going to tell me what to do. But that's how I earned the money, specifically exactly how much it was going to cost me to buy this course. And it was just more of a psychological exercise than a real money exercise, but it was what I needed.
Whoa, whoa! Then and this is incredible. So basically, you earned the money doing Lyft for a month. You said how much do
Probably,
you
yeah, about 6 weeks. I mean, not it wasn't a long time because the course was
Okay,
not expensive back then.
okay. And this was the first time you ever done this before, like driving Lyft?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I just got approved. Like it was very specific. Like I want to find a way. I didn't want to have to get like a job, right? Like I knew I needed something to just like earn a little, like a certain amount. That's why I thought it would work.
Wow, this is so incredible. And then, well, obviously this worked because you made that course, and well, a few years later, now you're in Humans in Accounting telling all the story, and now we're gonna jump into your firm and also the community. Okay, so let's go now to Heritage Business Services. I know you. It's a virtual bookkeeping that you specialize in FreshBooks. I want to know, yeah, that story, like how that started.
Yeah. So it kind of started. So yes, I only serve FreshBooks clients now. I started on QuickBooks. I feel like that's probably the common path that a lot of people who
Right.
want to take their accounting brain but earn a living as a accounting entrepreneur, a bookkeeping entrepreneur. And I finally had made enough money in my firm where I thought I could treat myself to some professional development. And I went to Scaling New Heights. I think it was 2023. It was the first one after COVID. It might have been fall of 2022. Oh, it was probably fall of 2022. Shoot, maybe it was fall of 2021. It doesn't matter. I went to that conference, and it was, in a way, it was like life changing because I was so like, there's a lot of loneliness of being by myself. Like I was like, I knew I needed people. I'm a social person, and I wanted to learn. At this point, I'm all self-taught. I've never worked for a great accounting firm who ran well and I could learn. Like I had nothing, right? I'm just like shooting blind. I go to this conference and it was simultaneously amazing, but then I also just it was so big, and I would like look around these big giant rooms, and I had this moment where I thought, I am never gonna stand out in this crowd. And I don't know if that's kind of like a cocky thing about me. Maybe I am like, maybe I'm just someone who wants to be able to stand out. But I knew it was never going to happen. Like as a bookkeeper who works in QuickBooks.
Doing the same, right?
Yeah, and so I mean, everyone is. I'm not trying to disparage people who that's their path, but for me, I knew that because I didn't come up to this traditional path. I honestly don't like a whole lot of monthly recurring work. Like I don't consider myself like a true bookkeeper in my spirit. But some of the things that I have a competitive advantage in, I thought, well, this could be really cool. If I just pick a different software, I can find ways to make money in the accounting space because I know debits and credits, but it's not building this like just traditional firm. And that has worked out. And so I became, honestly, like, I think I am the best FreshBooks export in the whole world. But that's only, it's not because I'm really special. It's because I've spent like 4 years now only working in that software. And I promise, if anyone else has spent as much time as I did, they would probably be better at it than me. But right now, I'm the best because I put the time in. I've seen hundreds of FreshBooks files because I do training. I do a lot of one-on-one training, and so that has exposed me to a lot. I think I'm a gifted teacher, so I kind of like that. You know, training's not scalable, but it works for my family right now, and I can charge. Like I'm charging a high rate, so that works. But it's allowed me to get good, like become a true expert. I mean, I can do FreshBooks in my sleep. I literally think about FreshBooks like when I'm lying in bed, and like I come up with some of my best ideas because I know the software so well. I can like picture where to click and where to go. And so it's been so super fun. I YouTube about FreshBooks. I have all my marketing is inbound. Like I knew that I was probably not like at my skills at marketing were not going to be traditional, I guess. So I was able to make a tutorial channel, and everyone who fills out my contact form, they have to answer, how did you hear about me? And they all say, I've been watching your YouTubes. I've been watching your YouTubes. And I know I'm good at that. Like I know, of course, like they're good. Those people, if they watch 4 or 5 of my videos, they're going to call me. And that's why it's worked out well for me to just be a little different. And FreshBooks was able to fit that for me.
This is so fascinating for me because I was sure this was not the explanation. I thought that you were going to say, I don't know, something else, but you knew. I mean, before even knowing that FreshBooks was the software that you were going to use, you knew that you had just to do something different, and it could have been FreshBooks or maybe something else, right? And
So yeah, that's a really good point. sometimes I kind of, if FreshBooks is having a glitchy day, I'm like, why did I pick this? I could have picked anything else. And that's, in a way, that's true. I'll tell you, the reason I picked it was because at that point in time, FreshBooks was investing a lot of money in building out what they call their accountant channel. And so there was these two people, Laura and JJ, and they were like the first main hires of the accountant team. I could not have done this without them, but I basically had these two brilliant people whose like job it was to support accountants, and I felt like I was like the only one. I had the red carpet treatment, and that is that is the sole explanation for why it worked. It could have been another software, but they loved me and they listened to me. And when stuff was broken, because they're building for businesses, not for accountants, and I'm like, this isn't going to work. I can't make a good enough living if you don't give me certain tools that allow accountants to work well, right? Like accountants' tools are different than business owners' tools because we need to be able to work fast. And, I'm constantly sending them emails and little looms about, I don't like the way this works. And they haven't like told me to stop emailing them. So it's 4 years later and I still email them all the time. But so there's a lot of general ledgers that are being born right now. Like there's a bunch. There's Digits. There's Puzzle. I don't know. You might know more than me. Yeah. I think getting in on the ground floor would make a really fun like decade of a business. And it's really cool. They send me gifts. They send me presents. That little placard back there they sent me for no reason. So that's the story about FreshBooks.
Not for no reason. I mean, you're doing all this. I think it's well. I'm happy that I've learned this story because I was sure that I don't know. You first decided just to go with with FreshBooks and suddenly this game, but you were convinced right from minute zero. So that's really, I don't know, inspiring, and I like that. I have so many questions, but I don't want to miss this one because. Okay. I don't know how much you know about humans in accounting and you know about me, but I'm a foodie guy. And for me, I don't know, I started it and now I want to finish it. And I'm committed just to do this ranking of the best food of humans in accounting of all the guests. So I'm going to ask you, Kate, this direct question. What's your favorite food? So I knew you were going to ask this because I have listened to some episodes. I'm going to say my favorite home cooked food. Okay. And it is something we do about every other week. We call it breakfast for dinner, and there's lots of breakfasts that you can eat. But the specific breakfast for dinner is, we call it an egg McMuffin, but McMuffin is just from this, yes, lowbrow McDonald's, right? But we get an English muffin. We have a bunch of bacon, put a little cheese, put a little salsa, and then we have these little silicone circles where you fry your egg, and it is so good. But even better, it's because the eggs come from my yard where I have chickens. Really? And so they're fresh eggs. It feels great to like eat something that, kind of produced, I guess. And fresh eggs are better than store-bought eggs. And we love it. And then our side, you got to have like some like fruits and veggies too, right? So we always do a smoothie on the side as our side dish. But we do that as a regular, and it's just so good biting into like a breakfast sandwich. So that's my favorite. I look forward to it. Obviously have it for dinner, as the name it says, right? I mean, you have it at night. Yes. It's not breakfast for breakfast. No, because we're busy in the mornings. We can't. It's more hands-on than you would think, because the bacon, you got to kind of watch it, and the frying the egg, you have to watch it, and we don't have a big enough pan to cook all the fried eggs for all of us, so we're like kind of short order cooking it. So it's definitely for dinner only. I love that idea. And this is something that it's known. I mean, everyone knows, or this is a term that you invented, that you made up, breakfast for dinner. Sorry, I'm Argentinian. This is the first time I've heard breakfast for dinner, and I'm fascinated by the idea. So breakfast for dinner is not something I came up with. That has been a term I've heard for forever. Families in America definitely do that. Probably also like pancakes could be one thing. So lots of people have breakfast for dinner, but we actually call it B for D at my house. So when we're planning our meal, we just write B for D. And the kids know what that means and know what to expect. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. This is actually the first vote that we have for breakfast for dinner. So at least it's gonna be somewhere in the list. At least It's gonna have one vote, and we still have a few more episodes until we reach the episode 100. Thank you for answering that question, Kate. Let's go back. I had this other one that I wanted just to ask you. I'm sure, actually, I am not sure, but maybe this happens to you. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. Maybe there is someone watching, a business owner who is using QuickBooks and has been using QuickBooks for all his life, and is watching one of the videos that you have out there and say, hey, no, I want to work now with Kate. She is awesome. But I have QuickBooks. What should I do? And maybe they write you an email saying, hey, Kate, can you help me out? What do you do in that case? You tell them no if you're gonna stick with QuickBooks, or I'll help you migrate. I'm just curious, how does that work? Or maybe this has never happened because you're really clear and that you work specifically with FreshBooks.
No, I help a lot of people move from other bookkeeping softwares. One of the first things I ask them one of the first things I tell them is that the worst reason to switch from QuickBooks to FreshBooks is because you're mad at QuickBooks. So if people are like, I don't like that they keep raising their prices, I'm going to be like, guess what? FreshBooks raises its price about a month after QuickBooks raises its price.
I love that. I love that.
So if you're angry about it, that's foolish. QuickBooks is a more robust software than FreshBooks. FreshBooks is definitely down market. So I also have to learn about their business. Sometimes businesses, they want to move and they think, my accounting's so frustrating. I don't understand QuickBooks. And I'm like, well, too bad. You built a very complex business. You need a complex bookkeeping software. So you need to outsource this to someone. Quit trying to do it yourself, or find a better bookkeeper or something. But your business is too complex. FreshBooks is for service-based businesses who need to send invoices and you can track to projects, but it's got a pretty weak balance sheet overall. And you can make stuff happen on the balance sheet, but it's so much more clicks. It's unaffordable to have to do really complex balance sheet transactions. So that means no real estate investors. We're not putting houses and capitalizing expenses. Okay. Complex equity sections, multiple partners and no. Simple service-based businesses is the ideal candidate. So I also tell people you can't use FreshBooks often, just based on how they describe their business. But then if someone is a good fit and they're like, the best person to move is someone who just says, I just want to keep things simple. I realize that QuickBooks does so much that I don't even need, and it makes me unconfident and unsure because I see too much. Then that's a really great person to move to FreshBooks, because it has fewer things you can mess up. And we talk about that a lot. So I will transition people. Lots of times it's more of a rebuild. FreshBooks sells a migration plan, but in general, and I think even QuickBooks to QuickBooks migrations are usually tough as well. Migrations are really tough, even in the best of circumstances. And most people who are wanting to migrate softwares don't have great circumstances. And so We'll do more of an opening balance kind of entry, and then maybe rebuild a year or two based on bank data. We'll do some hacks to kind of work a little quickly, and then we'll just have to kind of say you're going to lose some of this detail from your old bookkeeping file. Let's save stuff that you think you might want, but at least you'll have good data going forward, or more robust data going forward. And yeah, that's kind of how I tell them. People sometimes don't like to lose their data, but I'm like, it's bad data. So why do you want to save it? That's how I work with people who want to move to FreshBooks from another software.
Okay, perfect. So, well, any listener or people on our audience is watching this in the future and consider they're a good fit, well, obviously, then I'm going to ask you what's the best way just to reach out, but obviously reach out to Kate. Kate, I don't want to miss this other part that I want to talk also about a video that I've recently seen. Pretty sure I'm gonna steal you that idea, but let's talk a little bit about bookkeeping side hustle community.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how this started, and what's probably the mission. Let's go directly into that.
Yeah, you saw the video where I said the mission of Bookkeeping Side Hustle. I finally realized I kind of needed to write something down. I think that video is pretty old. I think I've gotten a lot better at making videos since then, quality-wise, but the content, I've always thought my videos have, if you're willing to listen, what I say, I hope is good. So the Bookkeeping Side Hustle community started because I was really into personal finance because we didn't have a lot of money, and so I had to manage the personal finances. And there was a group called Choose FI. Choose FI stands for Financial Independence. And I was on Facebook, and someone said, I need to make more money. How can I do that? And I answered. I said, hey, I learned how to make money with my accounting skills, and I serve businesses in my own business. And that like little comment kind of blew up. Like people were like, tell me more. Right. And so someone said, why don't you make a little private Facebook group to just answer all of our questions, and we can meet. And I was like, how do I make a Facebook group? I don't know how to do this. And even though I was like in a Facebook group answering the questions, so I made this little generic Facebook group thinking like 15, 20 people might come over. And now there's like almost 40,000 people in it.
Whoa.
Because I just started to be helpful and share my story of how I started to make a living and change my family's life because I knew the debits and credits. So it's grown. Now it's a big Facebook group, but I have a newsletter that I write on Substack called Everything is called Bookkeeping Side Hustle. Substack newsletter that comes out every other Saturday. A YouTube channel I stream at least every 2 weeks, sometimes more. And all I'm doing is trying to run people off who think bookkeeping is easy. So a lot of people are like, oh, I can make $100,000 by clicking around in QuickBooks from the beach. Like, no, you can't. And then encourage the people who need that encouragement, who are timid and reluctant entrepreneurs like me. So I have the list of the things I said in that mission video. It's to support people, emphasize that bookkeeping is accounting. Like, I think a lot of bookkeepers are like, just a bookkeeper. I'm like, no. Like, everything we do is accounting. Like, it's T accounts, it's debits and credits. That's what accounting is. So bookkeeping is accounting, and you have to know accounting to be a bookkeeper. And if you call yourself an accountant, congratulations, like bookkeepers are accountants too. Hustle does not mean hobby. It was one of the things I said. I don't think this is a joke. We're dealing with people's livelihoods. Like, if you're bad at your job, a business could fail. And that's like, I really like to emphasize the importance of that. It's not a joke. You can't mess with these are people, good, hardworking people's livings that we're talking about. I like to give reviews of softwares and like coaching programs too. I've said show respect for hardworking people. I think a lot of people like get like, if you're scared to ask a question because you're going to be thought of as dumb. And like, accounting is not innate knowledge. Like, no one was born an accounting genius. You have to be taught this. And just because like people forget, oh yeah, I also didn't know how to do a closing entry at the end of the year. And just Don't make people feel bad for not knowing that. I like to get vendors to give away swag, build community. I like accountants to rethink income. I love to share how I make money that is not the regular monthly bookkeeping cycle. And I talk about that a lot, like, because I think I'm like a creative person. And so I have figured out ways to do that, and I share that whenever I can. We do have like a job seeker help too in my newsletter. People can post jobs in the Facebook group. And so some people, it's best if they work for someone else. Not everyone's going to be a business owner. And we share that as well. And I build my business in public, sharing myself really publicly. And then I want accounting to be fun. I think early on I was like, man, these people are lame, like, because I wasn't an accountant, right? And so I try to just have a spirit of levity as well inside all that I do.
I think that you were so successful with that group basically because you were sharing your own story, and because you were there, and because you genuinely wanted just to help others, and just by telling your specific story. So I think that was why this was a huge success. And then going back, maybe it has already a few years, that specific video. But no, I was obviously talking about the content, and I think that this is something that not only a community that you built, but any business that you have, even if you have a retail and you sell chairs, I think it's important just to know exactly the mission, why you are doing what you are doing, why are you waking up every single day doing that, why you are pursuing that. And well, I was obviously referring to the content. You just went specifically why you were doing this, straightforward, and I think that's inspiring. And definitely, I'm gonna steal you that idea. Then we'll see if I need just to pay you a copyright or something.
No, everyone should say why they're doing what they're doing, for sure.
Absolutely. So yeah, I really like that. Just to wrap up the episode. For me, this is a question that I really like asking. So since I am the host here, I'm going to go ahead and ask it. I wanna ask you. Actually, you already gave without knowing some few advice that was really valuable. But let me ask you this directly: like, what's a piece of advice that you could maybe give? You're probably giving this all the time, but if I push you and I ask you specifically for just one piece of advice that you can give, I don't know, an entrepreneur, someone who's starting their own business, or maybe what's a good piece of advice that maybe someone could have given you when you started, before even going to scaling new heights and knowing all the things that you did? What's the first thing that comes to mind, Kate?
I would say just really analyze where you're uniquely gifted. I think working in those strengths is where all of us will have the most success. And like, it is okay. Like, if you're the world's best bank reconciler, cool. Like, build the business where that strength is, like, where you're working in that strength as much as possible. If you like to teach, figure out a way to teach. That's what I love. I love to teach. So I've built things in my business where I get to do as much of that as possible. And I think we all have unique gifts. We all have unique journeys too. So some of our gifts are going to be based on what we did. We were on the debate team in high school, and so like we really want to like be on stages. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But think about what you uniquely bring and build from there. I think it's the way to have the most fun, I think. And you can fill in your gaps with other people. The more I'm trying to do more of where I really shine and less of the stuff that I have to grind. You're gonna have to do stuff where you have to grind. Like that you're not going to get out of that completely. But if you're not born to be that monthly bookkeeping cycle, you can still make a great living in the accounting world. Okay?
Absolutely.
So that's my advice.
I love that. That's really good advice. You also said a few other things during the whole podcast that were also really interesting, but I like that one. Kate, I'm happy that I said hi there and that elevator in Orlando and Scaling New Heights, and that we met there, and that now we've done this episode. I had a lot of fun, and yeah, thank you so much for being part of Humans in Accounting. It was great having you.
All right, I agree too. I'm glad to be here. Feel free to find me on LinkedIn, y'all.
Absolutely. Actually, yeah, before we close, that's a good one. People watching this in the future, they're probably driving their car, listening to this episode, and they say, "Now I need just to talk with Kate." What's the best way to reach out, Kate?
Yeah, so I would say probably on LinkedIn, and if you have a client that uses FreshBooks, I promise you my cup is full. So just reach out to me. You will not bang your head against the wall trying to learn a new software. I will help you get through that early stage. I think there's a lot more room for accounting pros on FreshBooks. So if you're intrigued by the FreshBooks part, I will help you. If you're intrigued by I want to be an accounting entrepreneur, just join any of the Bookkeeping Side Hustle free resources. Everything I do is free for that community.
That's great. I'll make sure just to put all the links in the comments when we publish this episode. Kate, once again, thank you so much for joining. I had a lot of fun.
All right, thank you so much. Bye, y'all.
Bye bye.